Yo, what up? It's your boy Tim, aka T.O. Speaks.
And it's your girl Yammy, aka Yams be weirdo saying, and you are now tuned into
Love and Theology.
I know I've questioned many things in this world, but I never had to question your love. So I know one thing's for sure. I can put trust in the real love, your love. Yeah.
For every mom who ever missed a meal so they would have enough to let their babies eat.
Yo, what up, people? So glad we at it again. We back at it again. We hope that this episode will be able to bless you, to cause you to think, and to cause you to get involved. What do you think?
What? Why do you sound like a pastor?
Because I am.
So I guess we'll start off with testimony time. Testimony time.
So tell me, what's something good that happened for you last week?
I always like you to start.
Okay, what good happened for me last week? Last week, something that I was hoping for, actually, they got back in touch with me and led me into the second phase of a process that I'm trying to obtain. So
okay,
that was a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm really happy for you on that one.
That was good.
Okay.
What about you? Tell me a testimony that you have.
I think Friday we had a mostly good evening together. We went to go.
It's a great evening Friday.
Yeah, we because we're nerds, right? Our version of dates don't necessarily whatever. We're always eating. We always
want to eat. So
something.
It's almost like eating is not a date anymore.
No, it's not. But we went to go check out. You have heard Tim talk about
Oven 3.
Yes, quite often, which we're really excited about. Kind of the next upcoming maybe episode. Anyway, but from some people that I learned about through Tim, who also learned about through Dr. Mize, was pastors Gabby Kojo Wilkes and Andrew Wilkes. We got to see they're on their tour for their book.
Mm-hmm. Psalms for Black Lives.
Yeah, reflections for the work of liberation, and we got to see them at the gathering.
Gathering spot.
Yeah. So having to go to, first of all, I wanted to go check out the gathering spot, and I thought it was a really dope. And we got there on a day that they were doing the election debate between Raphael Warnock and oh boy, I can't think of right now.
Herschel Walker.
Herschel Walker. So it was really cool to be in that environment around that time to kind of see how that was operating, but also going to see the discussion between pastors, Kojo Wilkes and Wilkes about their heart posture for this book was pretty dope too. So I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of like a thing.
And so, crazy enough, the book was forwarded by guess who? None other than
you gonna work Dr. Moss into a conversation by any means necessary. So if y'all,
but honestly, these are some really dope, smart theologians and intellectuals and people that really have their heartbeat in their ear to what's going on in the world.
Really, honestly, I was thinking about the first thing you introduced me, or the first time we got introduced to them, right? Mm-hmm. There was a conversation with Dr.
Aubrey Hendricks. You bought the book, actually.
Yeah, I don't know where the book is. It's probably over there somewhere. But on his book, what do you remember the name of the book?
Christian something.
Yeah, it's a I can't find it right now, but if you Google it, we'll look at it. So they were having a discussion on Dr. Hendricks' book, and in it was Dr. Moss and the Wilkes, Dr. Gabby Kojo Wilkes and Pastor Andrew Wilkes. So they were having a conversation, and Tim, I guess in mid whatever, stopped me. He was like, bro, you got to go listen to them. These folks are on fire. That's it right here. Yep. Christians against Christianity.
Christians
Against Christianity by Dr.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's how right-wing evangelicals are destroying our nation and our, I can't see, whatever.
Destroying our nation and our Christianity.
Yeah.
Destroying our nation. Christians.
Against Christianity, how right-wing evangelicals are destroying our faith in our nation.
Right.
So they were having a discussion about that. When I tell you, them bad boys were on, them jokers was going off to the point where we ended up, following them on social media. They have a church in New York called Double Love. Started following the ministry over there, and obviously when their book Psalms for Black Lives came out, we wanted to make sure that we supported them and their work. And honestly, it's been enriching. So having to go see what they did was really dope too.
Being one thing about me and Dr. Yam here, we be celebrating people like we really know them.
we probably do get a little too. It's probably a little too comfortable.
Like we be all like, man, check out this book, man.
Yeah, like you know how if your homeboy or your homegirl is out here, selling a book, whatever. The first thing you're gonna do is be like, check out my boy, blah blah. We don't know them like that. We've met them now, and we're familiar with them digitally. But they were very kind when they.
I want to lift up one thing. His mother, man, she is such a sweet person.
Pastor Wilkes's mother was very kind,
so sweet
to us. So it was really dope to kind of whatever. And I think that is the kind of foundation of where our conversation for today is kind of starting. So after we left, right? Again, the book is called Psalms for Black Lives, Reflections for the Work of Liberation, and this is a devotional, so a 30-day devotional that we have engaged our daughter with, in having her read and having her to interpret, explain to us what she understands about that, especially because she has, unfortunately, because of the environment that we live in, has already, when she was in first grade, had an encounter with racism. So we wanted to make sure that she was very much aware of.
And something about our daughter, right? At her age of 8 years old, we begin to learn that we have to speak to her, honestly, because she can absorb this stuff. Like the other day, what she said about jealousy, it just comes off. That's just let you know where her mind is.
Yeah, Tabby had a dope quote about jealousy. Let me look it up real quick. She said, after watching an episode of Blackish that involved jealousy, she said, jealousy is a green monster that lives on your back and weighs you down. When it gets too heavy, you got to shake it off. And I said,
what?
That girl.
How does she know that jealousy is incorporated with the color green? Like it just came to her.
Green and envy. Yeah, right?
So,
she
said it's like a green-eyed monster that lives on your back.
Yeah, and somebody is over here like, well, anybody can go ahead. Yeah, maybe, but if our 8-year-old is constantly dropping.
Like one time, she said, I was actually dealing with some stuff, but I feel like I didn't let it come out. I still treated her the same way. When I was going outside, I was leaving one day. She said, Daddy, don't let the world make you mad. He said, because when I need you to come back, I need a happy daddy when you come back from the world. Just the word world. Like, don't let the world get you angry. Out of nowhere.
Baby girl is connected to and one of the questions that actually came up, I think, in the session was how could we use what this book to help translate to younger kids. Right. And they gave a really profound response, which is to allow them to experience it.
Right.
And we have allowed ourselves to have real conversation, especially during the pandemic when everything was going on. Tim was watching CNN very, very heavily during the pandemic, whereas I was avoiding it. But our daughter was very much exposed to what was going on, and she had questions. And as opposed to being like, "Oh, this is not something that you had to experience," which she would later experience when the things returned back to semi-normal. She had to go back to school. When a kid in her class said that her parents had told her that she wasn't allowed to have black friends or couldn't be her friends because she was Black, and Tabby having to articulate in first grade how to stand up for herself and how that thought process was wrong.
Even though it hurt her because Tabby feels a lot.
Yeah, she
don't do nothing but care for people, right?
Yeah.
That's her thing. She was able to still defend herself, and then come home and ask questions. So she knew it was wrong, and I had to stand up for my Blackness.
Yeah.
But I just don't understand why I got to stand up for my Blackness.
It shouldn't be like this.
You know what I mean? Like,
and these are real concepts that we were thinking. But I guess when we were leaving, you asked me a question.
Right. I asked you, I said, because one thing about Yami, I regard her as a theologian, intellectual, and somebody who really digs deep into the Bible. She is so much so as an intellectual that I think it was one of your professors who's a theologian who was teaching you wrote something that made him think like, wow, I never saw it like this. You know what I mean?
He made a comment about it, yeah.
But anyway, so I asked her, I said, why is it that you don't speak more about Black liberation theology?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that sparked something in you, so you begin to think more about it. You know, so
no, I mean, because the conversation comes up as, and I guess if we were going to title this today, we're going to frame it as a part of our callings. Trying to think, because we've and now that I think about it, we've had conversations with other people about what their callings are, but I don't think that we've kind of done a deep dive into what that looks like for us.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't even know why we haven't had really a call.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We just kind of never did.
Or maybe we did and we forgot. But y'all gonna come on this journey with us anyway. But what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, you know, if we can do anything, like I said, Black liberation theology, let's take off the Black.
Yeah.
And just say liberation theology at this point.
And I guess my one of the things that I've been working on is receiving feedback, even if I don't necessarily agree. So when he said it, I said, well, talk to me about how it seems like I don't do these conversations, or what you think these conversations need to look like on my part.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And what you remember what you said?
No, I mean, I said a lot of stuff. I mean, honestly, when you gave me that question, because I mean, you one thing about Yami, don't say nothing unless you're ready to explain it. And then I'd be like, yeah, leave.
I never brought it up. Because in my mind, I do. Mm-hmm. And we had that conversation where, like, I am not afraid, or even if I am afraid, I often do speak up for injustice.
And that was one of the things I said to her, like, you know, you the type that, when Trump won, you'll wear your afro, because so she speaks loudly about it, so much so that her parents called her during all this protest. It was like, yeah, I hope you ain't down there. Be careful. Like, she actually thought she was finna go down there and get shot by the police. That's how much she stepped up for.
At the time, we were working for law enforcement, so I wasn't gonna get shot, but I did go.
No, I'm just saying. I just imagined that they were their mindset.
Ain't no telling. After Trump won presidency, my parents did call me, both of them on the phone very early in the morning. It was just kind of, hey, you all right?
Right. And that's what I brought up, because she speaks to it, but I never really heard her connected with biblical terms. So I just always wondered, like, I
think for me it's because it's something that I'm learning. I'm still learning about, right? Okay. So I know the application part, which is, we are called as people of God to be especially if we have the voices to do so, or even if we don't have the voices to do so, but God has therefore called us to do so, to speak boldly, speak truth to power.
You have to, right.
I know that. I think as it relates to liberation theology, especially in this doctoral program, it's a concept specifically, the specific construct as far as liberation theology, and that can come in the form of, what I would consider womanist, or, Black liberation theology, or, Asian, all these topics. I am really in the thick of learning how these things are embodied, or what they look like. I had what's the name of the founder of the Black Liberation Theology? I can't think of his name right now.
Oh, you talking about Howard Thurman?
No. You look big and saw Howard Thurman. But
because this is one book I think should, if you ever want to get more into it, to understand probably how, because he's a mystic, right? So if you want, like, he was one of the people that really helped when I read his book to understand how the Bible is connected to this type of liberation. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but there's a founder of the
Otis Mouse?
No, oh God. Jesus Christ. You just go credit him for everything, huh? No, it's gonna kill me, so I'm gonna.
The founder of Black Liberation Theology?
What is his name?
You're not talking about James Baldwin, are you?
No.
He's another good read you should read when it comes to that too, being a mystic. Is it still alive?
No, he recently passed. James Cone.
Oh, James Cone, yeah. He's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
One of my classes required a James Cone reading that kind of led me down a loophole of understanding theology from multiple perspectives, but specifically the Black Liberation Theology. So it's a concept that I'm familiar with as far as action, but I'm not as abreast on it like book wise.
Right.
So it's not that I'm not, because when he said it, it wasn't. I felt like not. I took it as a valid critique, which is to say, should I be doing more?
Yeah, but I don't think it was that. So I think you're doing what you're supposed to do, right? You speak up for women's rights. I believe that's one of your callings, right? Even through the Bible, even through LGBT, whatever the rest of the letters are, community. You speak of it through all that through the love of God. No matter what it is that you're doing, God still loves you, right? That's one thing that you believe in. So I just wonder, like, why I never saw you intertwine those two through words rather than action as well. You know what I mean? Like, cause you act on it a lot. You know what I mean? Like,
I think too. Part of me is very action prone. I don't like the. I would rather be a person who was action related than just all like talk.
Right,
I mean, and
I don't think that's what I was saying. Like, you're all talk. I'll just be more talk. I'm saying like. The two. I know you're about it. I know you like the liberation of the people. That's all I was wondering. It's a thought.
No, yeah, right. But it was a healthy critique because it's kind of like, or the question is now, in rooms. Oftentimes, if I'm in rooms where I don't have all the information, right, and people are having conversations about something, I will stay quiet. Only because my natural inclination is to absorb as much information and then speak if I feel like I can add something healthy to the conversation. Right. So in that, I feel like I don't. I'm not as quick to be like, well, let me tell you something about what I know. I don't do that.
I think the values of a great leader is to sometimes be quiet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's a good virtue that you have, you know what I mean? To listen, then speak.
Then to speak.
Yeah. So, but I do believe that you have a voice. That's why I asked. Like, I do believe, because I see how you communicate and move with kids of all ages and adults, right? And I believe that, especially, I believe that I'm going to take it for example. Like, yesterday I was watching the Tennessee game, right? Tennessee beat Alabama, right? And then at the end of the game, Tennessee fans, they swarmed the field, right? So I got to think, so something just hit me in that moment, like, man, all the players are mostly Black, but all the people that swarm the field are mostly students, right? I mean, are mostly white, which are students. So I got to think, like, you see the disparity of those two. Like, I can go to your school with Peter and play football, but I can't get accepted to get an education. So that's the type of stuff that I like. We need to start speaking truth.
You can't accept to get.
I can go. It's okay for me to go to your school and be an athlete. These PWIs as a Black melanin person.
But I'm not. There's not a lot of students.
That go to these schools, right? Because everybody that swarmed the field was white. You understand what I'm saying? White students.
I know, but you also got to take into account too. Like, it's very possible that the Black students are like, "Well, I'm not going to be in this mosh pit."
Even if that's the thing. I mean, if you look at the numbers, even with UGA, you got 50,000 students, only 10,000 of them Black. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, and at the time that I was going to UF, I know that the ratio of white students versus students, not students of color, but Black, white, Black, Hispanic, Asian, or whatever, they didn't compare it.
And then, so what I'm saying is, in these circles, we have to begin to create a safe space for Black people to understand their spirituality. Because I'm learning that there is a their spirituality. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. There is a their spirituality, our spirituality.
Elaborate on that a little bit.
And what I mean by that is just through learning, like, if you begin to, oftentimes, even a lot of Black churches have begun to take on a westernized evangelical Christianity of thought, right? So first, we got to understand that Christianity did not originate here in America. It's actually foreign to us. You understand what I'm saying? It's new. It's new. So we have to understand that first, right? And then we have to understand, we have to dispel the way of thinking of that Christianity is a white person religion. You know
Yeah.
why so many people think that? Because we won't begin to speak up and begin to interject ourselves in the Bible as melanin colored people, right?
Mm-hmm.
We still let them elaborate on the lies of this white blue-eyed Jesus. And then some person might say, why does that doesn't matter what color Jesus it was. It actually does. I'm going to tell you why. Because the white people understood if they painted Jesus, the most powerful person in the world, as a white person, that gives them supremacy.
The most symbolic figure.
The most symbolic figure. So if we don't begin to see ourselves in those roles, we begin to think that we're less than and that what happens.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying?
And that's the concept of what you were saying about, or what we've always said about representation, what's commonly associated with representation mattering.
Right. And now, while his miracles does not matter,
as far as what color he is.
But we can't dispel where Egypt was. You understand what I'm saying? Some people begin to think that Egypt just somehow got picked up and moved out of Africa. Egypt is in Africa. They try to separate the two.
I do remember going back to my dad one time. I had to be in elementary school. I was just kind of like, hey, like, I guess I was mystified because we were talking about Moses, and I was like, Dad, was Moses black? And he was just kind of like, well, you know, there's the possibility because of the region that he was located in that he could have been very right. And I remember even then thinking, what a difference having my understanding of Moses having a variation of color and or not being white specifically, how it affected my perception of how involved I could be in the text, in the biblical text. Because you're right.
Even like I heard somebody say one time that when we begin to speak like Asia Minor, right? And that's a sad thing about people that really just read the Bible, don't study the Bible. They actually thought Asia Minor was in Asia. Yeah. But really that's modern day Turkey. You understand what I'm saying? So So what happened? They said they was in Asia. Those are Asia. No. You know, that was Asia Minor, which is now modern day Turkey, right? And then you got to understand like the Middle East. The Middle East is a new concept. The Middle East of what? So you still got to look at the region of where they was at. You understand what I'm saying? So they continue to try to separate us from the actual origination of what we know today as Christianity. You understand what I'm saying? So even when we begin to look at our forefathers, right? Tertullian, who came up with the concept of the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, right? St. Augustine, all these people were from Africa, but they won't tell you this. You know what I'm saying? So these people was born, so but they paint the picture of these forefathers as being white men. You know what I'm saying?
It's in part why I really appreciated the Psalms for Black Lives reading, because it centered Black folks in the conversation so that we could have a space to feel seen and feel heard. And the book was written in the middle of the pandemic. Right. So seen and feel heard in a time when, you know, that was up for question. People were very, very, the reason why we had so much rioting, the reason why the people, like even when I think about Haiti right now, the reason why the country is in such an uproar is because people felt their basic needs were not being met or respected. Right. So having a conversation that centers Black people, and oftentimes when we get into this conversation, the pushback is this whole "what about me too" or "me too" concept, or no, not just one life matter, but not Black lives matter, but all lives matter. The problem is not that all lives, or the concept is not that all lives don't matter. No one said that. The problem is that for a very long time, Black lives were not to matter. Yeah. And so that's kind of why I think I was just not aghasted, but I'm aghast. I don't know. What?
I'm sorry, wait, baby.
No, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, like most people that say all lives matter. Take Kanye West for example, right? The same people that said when he wore a shirt that said white lives matter, right? The same people that love to say no, all lives matter didn't have a problem with him saying all white lives matter. You see the contrast. They had no problem with that. So I still stand
on the fact that there was just like I think I made a post about how I didn't really want to. I think honestly, if we stop dealing with him, he'd go, because it's an attention seeking thing. And yes, there's probably some mental health components that we need to be respectful of as well. But at the same token, I just think that he's aware enough to understand the significance of what the tension that's being brought. But also, if you think about him throughout the trajectory of his his career, that's exactly what it's different. It's different because we're on the other end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But during the George Bush only doesn't like black people
right.
phase,
Mm-hmm.
or or even his tiff between him and Jay-Z or whatever, and Obama and all of that. There's this is consistent behavior, but beforehand but what we've often done in Black society is just welcome him back with grace or understanding and compassion, when honestly he probably just need to be like benched for a bit.
They can have him. Whatever side, we trade you out for. I don't know. But anyway, but I agree with you on that. Like, just don't pay him no attention. Me personally, he doesn't make me mad either way because I don't expect nothing much from him. You understand what I'm saying?
No, but that's also in part why your question kind of not negatively, but it pulled me back a bit, because I was just kind of like, well, I thought I was. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I will. I'll be honest and transparent, saying that liberation theology is a theology that I am working through as far as conversational and whatever. But I do have a history of being active. It's a thing. I'm learning the vocabulary.
Tammy protested here in Winder when she could find a protest.
I mean, well, Winder was out here. I was like, come on, let me.
Yeah, she was out there with him.
No, but I'm actively involved, but I'm learning the language of what this looks like.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Which is probably why I have been maybe slower to speak. Not because I don't have anything to say, but I want to make sure that what I say is seasoned with understanding.
And I think that's good, because I also believe that, when you look at what Jesus was battling against, even in the words where he said, I'll make you fishermen of men, he was going against Roman rule by even saying those words. You understand what I'm saying? So most people don't
talk more about that.
Like I don't really have enough to go in depth in it, but like if you take a fisherman away, the way you paid taxes was through fish, through them getting a fish. That's what it was about. They had to pay taxes through them fishing and paying to the Roman government. So when Jesus came and said, I'll make you fishermen of men, he was basically saying, I will take you away from paying taxes, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll make you a fisherman of men, to bring more people into the light. And they also begin to help Roman rule corrupt. You know what I'm saying? So if you believe in me, we can bring down this rule of tyranny. You understand what I'm saying? So what Jesus was trying to do was not trying to go in opposition to the Roman government. He was trying to change the minds of the people that was under rule of Roman government.
Very good.
So that's what we have to do. We have to change the mind of the people that's under rule of this, I believe, in this white evangelical type framing. You know what I'm saying? So what they do also, and sadly enough, I believe a lot of our Black churches have taken on the same framework.
Well, it's not Black churches only. It's just church. It's just
church in general.
Churches in general, right?
So I think once we begin to tell the truth about what it really was, I believe Jesus was fighting for. Even when you go and say, in Mark, I believe it's Mark 5, when Jesus said, when he cast out the guy was in the tomb, right? He was crying out all night, and he said, and then when he walked up to the tomb, he said, don't torment me. He told Jesus, don't torment me. Anyway, and then Jesus says one thing that is so profound. He said he goes and he cast the demon into the pigs, and the pigs jump jump off the ledge and kill themselves, right? That is, even from when you say I am Legion, oftentimes we look at that as saying Legion was the Roman name of the Roman army, right? Legion, right? So what the biblical writer was trying to show is that I am up under Roman rule. I'm suppressed by Roman. I'm suppressed by these legions. I am in this tomb, jail, i.e. we can look at it as jail today, because of the rule of what they're doing. They're not getting me help, so they'd rather throw me away. You understand what I'm saying? So I am Legion. So they're what Mark was trying to display. And then when the pigs jumped off the ledge, right? He was trying to say that the people in Rome, because Jews weren't supposed to touch swine. You understand what I'm saying? But they was making money off of something. They was profiting off of something that they weren't going to touch. You see what I'm saying? So what he did was took their whole profit away. You see what I'm saying? So he was fighting against the suppression of Roman rule and people that's not even Roman, i.e. Americans like you and I, that was taking advantage of the less fortunate. This
undergirds the significance of really doing deep dives contextually in what's happening. And you have to understand when you're reading a scripture, for instance, what is the timing of the situation? What is going on in the history of what's going on? Because without that context, you can easily miss it.
Right. It's even like when you begin to look at names in the Bible. Anytime the Bible names somebody's name, right? If that wasn't a name, the Bible is basically telling you that this probably was a poor person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you, I forget who it was, but when I think it was Peter and John, then he say he in their servants. Well, the Bible is trying to show you that poor and wealthy people can come together to change the narrative of what's going on in Roman rule. So that's why they put those two together. So anytime you see a name, people, when the Bible lists a name, they're listing wealth, prestige, or something to that family.
Right.
But when you don't see a name, it's probably showing that you're of the lower class. You see what I'm saying? So
right.
all this stuff, that's why I say you have to do a deep dive, like you said. Yeah.
How do we get here?
I mean, because I think it all goes full circle. You know what I mean? With deliberate, to understand the Bible so we can really speak truth to what I believe the Bible is trying to say.
And to understand that Jesus was basically a liberation theologian. So yeah.
So
go ahead.
So what does that look like for you now? You believe, like,
I still think it's a work in progress, right? Because I'm more so to answer your question. I've been doing the work. I don't think I have maybe been as publicized with my stance, which is your point.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
But again, let me ask you a question. Do you feel like you have been publicized in your stance? I
believe at one time I was, but then I believe I believe it, I kind of got watered down because of what I began to take on other people's thought process. And that's why I began to struggle with my calling. You understand what I'm saying? Because now I'm trying to do something that I was never called to do. Mm-hmm. Because before I was born, before I even understood what it was, I would speak truth to power. That's why I hate the word militant, right? You know, family members say, "Oh, you so militant, brothers," right? That's why I hate the word militant. Militant is nothing but a word to suppress somebody trying to stand up for the rights. That's what I believe. Right?
I don't know if I mean, I guess it's about how you internalize it, because I have long thought myself as being militant in nature, but not with a negative connotation.
Well, I mean, if you look at the definition, the only thing I can go off of is the definition of militants, and then the definition of militant is fighting out of anger and want to cause violence and all this stuff. Me telling you that I love my blackness and this shouldn't be right is not saying I want to be violent. You understand what I'm saying? So it's easy to say somebody in the militant, now they put a negative target on your back. You understand what I'm saying?
It says combative and aggressive in support of a political or social cause, and typically favoring extreme violence and confrontational methods. I get that.
That's why I don't subscribe to that terminology.
But we had a study. No, did I tell y'all what my name meant? My middle name means warrior, and then whatever. So in theory, I am militant. Because I'll be with the smoke.
They call Martin Luther King militant. This was the most peaceful man ever. You know what I mean?
Martin Luther King wasn't as peaceful as people think he was. Martin Luther King, in the best of ways, was an instigator. Look at how he used the media to help further along the cause.
Yeah. Well, he helped brings attention through media.
Yeah. I don't want to use the word instigate, because I don't want nobody coming like, I can't believe you said that about Martin. No, what I'm saying is that he knew how to work his resources. And most people always talk, especially in the evangelical circle, most people, when they quote MLK, they quote all the be together and whatever kind of quotes. But there were very popular quotes where Martin Luther King was talking about going against the establishment.
Right. Yeah. Even Jesus in that matter. I forget the Bible verse, but Jesus told them, sell what you got to go get swords.
Yeah. But yeah.
Sell what you got to go pick up swords. Jesus knew that it might come a time where violence has to happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like if they came at me, why would Jesus tell his disciples to go get swords? Sell what you got and go get swords. You know what I mean? And go pick up swords. So there's a time for everything. Is what I'm trying to say. There's a time for everything. But I still don't subscribe to the
No, I understand.
To the militant, because it's easy for you to label me as militant. Now people will take arms up against me, be ready to fight me because I've been labeled as something that I'm not. I'm not violent. I'm just telling you that it's wrong for what you're doing. So now I'm militant. I'm telling you that I love my blackness. So now I'm militant. You see what I'm saying?
No, I hear you.
So I just don't. I never subscribe to that.
I think Luke 22:36 is the scripture that you were referencing. Let me find it real quick. The only reason I want to pull it up is because people are like, where are you? Jesus wasn't saying that.
Read it to the people.
It says, but I say to you, take what you need. If you have money, take it. and a knapsack and a sword. Danger is imminent. What it says, danger is imminent. And this little study thing says, it is possible that Jesus was using symbolic speech, for we take with us the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. I mean, so maybe he's talking about
And what was the scripture? In Luke what?
Luke 22.
22.
36.
36. Don't read it in the New King James Version.
Why the New King James Version?
That's probably like the TPT version or something.
That is a TPT version.
Then he said to them, but now he who has the money bag, let them take it likewise a knapsack, and he who has no sword, let him sell his garment to buy one.
I read the same thing.
So the people that want to say that is likely, why would you sell your garment to go buy the Spirit of the Lord as a sword? You understand what I'm saying?
No, you.
So I believe that's what it says. So, you look it up for yourself. And hey, if you want to say that he was talking about the Spirit of the Lord, hey, you think that Jesus ain't know that Peter carried a knife with him? Come on, you know what I mean? It never told him not to carry a knife. He knew that.
Yeah, I think the NRSV says, he said to them, but now the one who has a purse must take it, and likewise a bag. And the one who has no sword must sell his cloak and buy one. I don't know what's the context of this though?
Well, you talking about the context of why he would say that?
Mm-hmm.
They was getting ready to move. They was walking. I think they was going through a territory that was in
dangerous. Because dangerous, because it said dangerous, imminent. Either way, so did you say that you don't think that you are fully? Let me ask you this too. Why was it important for you to ask me? And did you ask yourself the question also?
I've been asking myself that, and I've started getting back towards that a long time, because I began to ask myself, like, what's the struggle with me trying to pass, with me putting sermons together or whatever, because I was trying to do it outside of what I've been called to do. You understand what I'm saying?
That's really good.
So I was trying to do it out of what I've been called to do. It was at a young age, the feeling of standing up for what was right was given to me. I didn't have to think about it. So when I was told that, I remember when I was young, I told when I was 13, I forget, I'm a preacher, and my mama telling me that, and I'm going to tear down the church. Church need to be teared down and built back up. That was in my youthful thinking. You understand what I'm saying? Because I felt that there was something wrong within the church. And I don't think I was told was, no, you can't do that. But nobody said anything else. So let's help cultivate to the way to do it. So it just kind of fell flat. And then when I was speak on, I had brothers that be like, you militant, the ones that took on the same thought process as what's going on, the same thought process of what they think is right in America, right? And because I don't know what it is. Maybe they don't want to see what's happening, or they just don't want to admit to really what's going on.
It's not their call too. Yeah. So it's not for them to see, and it's not for you to wait for them to give you the validation, right? So, it's for you to operate in it operate exactly as God has instructed.
So I began to struggle, right? And I kind of went away from it. Then now the calling never went, but I tried to change how I would present what it was. And it was like, man, he never called you to do that.
Are you just looking for someone, you looking for a partner in this thing?
No, it was just a question that I had. Because like I said, the question, I think that maybe you're looking for too much, because what I was thinking was that.
No, I'm just, like you said, one thing, in order for me to wholly understand, because the question is based off of your perception.
Right, and I think I led to you why I thought it several times, but it's not said, so I keep having to try to figure out how to explain it to you.
Okay.
So, no, what I'm saying is that, like you speak, you're an activist, and you're so smart, I just wonder, like, why you just never put, words to it. You know what I mean? Sometimes. That's all. I'm not saying that you don't do it, but I just wonder, like, I was just a thought, a conversation. That's all it was.
No, I know. And like, I'm not offended by your question, but I'm also curious, because in my mind, if I think I'm doing it and it's not being presented, it doesn't look like that. The question is why.
It's why, right?
And you and you live with me, so I mean. There are very few people who have as much of an intimate gaze into how I operate for the most part. I
don't think you operate outside of, like, you're trying not to address it. I was just wondering. And as far as like the question, I can't tell you your why. Only you know that. That's why I presented the question.
No, it wasn't for you to tell me my why. It was more in like. Like
what is it I'm not seeing?
No, yeah. Well, when you asked it, I said, huh? Like. I do. like I mean, I'm not on social media saying something like that because I don't know if that is. I don't know if God has released me for that level of that platform.
Right.
But doing the work, I'm doing the work for sure. Yeah. And I think what I understand you to be saying is more of a why are you not speaking? Like more like or like let's frame it within the guidelines of content. Why is your content not saying, or why when we preach we're not preaching that lens? Is that more?
No, not really. I don't think for me it was so technical. I was just asking a question. I didn't.
But that's what I'm saying. And that's where I think that's where we having a disconnect because for me it's like if I'm doing the work, it means to me that I'm speaking it. So in what ways is this not showing up?
No, I'm not
asking you to answer. Okay. I'm just telling you that that's what my thought process was.
Right. I see what you're saying.
That's what my thought process was, and I didn't take it. I wasn't offended by your question. It was just more so in I had to take a deep dive into myself as well,
right, to
figure out what do you mean.
So for me, I don't think I have been doing enough, honestly. You understand what I'm saying? Because I believe that part of me was stolen. You understand what I'm saying? By what people think. And I'm gonna tell you something. Also, it doesn't look like just speaking truth to power to the white people. Because I'm noticing now, lately, my battle been with people that look like us not doing the right thing. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so that's been my battle lately. Like on these jobs, people put in a position that's hurting us, or they can see the other race doing something, but they're so small and they still don't understand the power that they have, that they still think they're less fortunate than the white person who's over them. So it's easier for them to target somebody who looks like them instead of the person who's actually having a problem. Those are the issues that I've been dealing with on my job. So it just doesn't come in one color. It comes in all forms. You know what I mean? Wrong is wrong, no matter where it's coming from.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But even with you, on the last job you had, you went slap off on somebody for that was right. So I'm saying it shows up a lot, about how they was getting rid of people's jobs. You didn't have to say that. You had no dog in the fight. You could care less either way it goes. You had no dog in the fight. And Gavin went off on this lady so bad that she talked about it weeks after, in a way, not in anger. Apparently, I didn't know I was messing up.
Apparently, I made her cry. Well, right. I don't care. I don't, because I don't. What you will not do. What you would not do is put people in bondage just because you think that you can.
Right.
And I'm not going to. And it's only so much of it that I can absorb. I can observe and not do something about. And what kind of craziness is that?
And I think the beauty of what you did, right, was you never meant to make her cry.
No.
See, oftentimes we begin to speak in these spaces just to make somebody feel some kind of way, other than just to change their thought of what they're doing.
No, I mean, and for me, I didn't even care if she, if her perspective changed, I could care less. It's kind of like the idea of the prophets from old, right? And that's not to say that these prophets didn't have confidence or didn't lack anxiety for what they were speaking, or weren't scared to speak in front of people. But one of the things that they did is that they said what they said and they went about their business. And it's exactly where, for me, that's exactly where it was. Where it was like, let me go ahead and I'm gonna tell you real quick. And it was impromptu, so that's how I know that thing was embedded deep down in my heart.
That's one reason I love Jonah, man. Jonah didn't want to prophesy so much he tried to run from God. Man.
Jonah is probably the most hilarious. Jonah is me, because it'd be like, why I got to speak to these people? These people don't love you, God.
And then he still did it in protest, man. I'm gonna do it from right here. I'm gonna say what I gotta say, but I'm gonna do it from outside the city wall.
Well, then he spoke what he spoke, and then went off and pouted.
Pouted about set up under a tree.
That is me in a nutshell, doing what God has asked me to do. I'm sick of your people. I do not want to speak to them. I'm going to do it because I don't want the backlash, and you done already put me in a cage.
This is how crazy Jonah was, right? Jonah runs from God, goes on a ship of a bunch of people that don't believe in God, right? And then, God began to have this crazy storm.
Do what God was doing.
Right. And then they like, man, what is causing this?
You the problem. So let's get you out of here.
No, Jonah goes to him and say, I'm the one who did it. Just throw me over. He wanted to die.
I don't think he did it. I think they, if I remember the story correctly, I think they looked at him and was like, nah, you the problem, so let's go ahead and hop over it.
No, Jonah told, I just got done studying the whole book.
I mean, I hear what you're saying.
But Jonah,
if you're right, you're right. I support it. I'm just also, I don't remember it that way.
One thing I don't do, you could stuff that's in the word of God.
He said, the sailor said in verse 7, Jonah 1:7, Sailors said to one another, "Come, let us cast lots so that we may know whose account this calamity." That's what I'm saying.
And then if it goes on, Jonah then said to him, "Tell them why the calamity is upon us." Then he tells them what happened.
So they cast lots, and the lots fell on Jonah. After they fell on Jonah.
Let's talk about casting lots too.
Then they said to him, "Tell us why this calamity has fallen." Mm-hmm. Which is what I said. Jonah didn't volunteer this information.
You reading the TPT? What version?
It's NRSV.
Okay.
Jonah did not volunteer it. Apologize to me.
But I read from the King James version.
Wow. Because the King James version is that much better.
No, it's all over miss a translation and transmission. But what I'm saying is that those other versions begin to skew.
And then verse 10, they said, "Then the man went." I think that NRSV is what McAfee uses, I believe. Then the men were even more afraid and said to him, "What is this that you have done?" For the man knew that he was fleeing from the presence of the Lord because he had told them so. Then they said to him, "What shall we do to you that the sea may quiet down for us?" For the seas was growing more and more tempestuous. Mm-hmm. He said to them, "Pick me up and throw me into the sea." So we were both right.
Yeah. So anyway.
But also apologize to me because I was right.
You were right. I was wrong.
Thank you.
As always, right? You tell but anyway, but no. So he goes and like kill me. He didn't want to speak God's words so much. He was like, "I'd rather die," because what he was scared of was that if God spared him, because the word that God told him was, "Y'all need to do this, and I will spare you."
Yeah.
So he didn't want to spare the who was it? I don't know who
Nivea,
was the Nivea, but who were they? The Nazarites. I can't remember what tribe it was.
I'll just say Nivea.
But in Nivea, it wasn't Nivea. But anyway, he was like, "All they gonna do is kill us, man." But you gonna spare them, but God always have a plan because that wasn't what they did. They actually turned away from their wicked ways, man.
Yeah, he repented.
They repented.
Was he still mad?
He read it more. He went up on a tree, man.
John's actually one of my favorite stories.
He went up on a tree
because I see myself mad. Anyway, this episode has been going a lot longer than we needed it to, so I'm probably going to chop up a little bit because we want to give you 30-minute episodes so that you guys can enjoy. Anyway, so what is your theology?
My theology is this. Look, first of all, us as people of God, white, black,
Hispanic,
Asian, whatever you want to call it, we have to speak the truth. Indigenous, whatever. We have to speak the truth to what it is that the Bible is trying to say, because that's the only way we're gonna have a just world, man. The Bible doesn't speak of this party is better than that party or vice versa. It has to be the truth. We have to speak the truth. And that's how we're going to usher in a just world. So just speak the truth. Just speak the truth. That's it. That's my theology. What's your theology?
I think that we have to remain learned, be willing to accept criticism, even if you don't necessarily agree with it, right? And interpret it as interpret it based off of not a kind of a swayed lens or a defensive lens, but with openness, but also remain like students, like in life. We don't have, and one of the things we say from the top, we don't have all the answers. You know what I'm saying? We don't pretend to be, like you like to say, call me a theologian. I am a work in progress. I'm trying to figure this thing out.
I think, yeah.
You think what?
No, I'm gonna say I think everybody's a theologian.
Okay, because this was my my spiel. Are you?
I am.
Okay, but I think that we have to remain learned I don't think, and I also don't agree with you. I don't think that everybody's a theologian.
One day I'll tell you why everybody's a theologian.
Okay, no, tell me why now.
Because a theologian doesn't mean it means anything from the word that somebody that's trying to explain God. So even if there's an atheist, they're a theologian. It basically means that somebody just trying to explain God.
But everybody's not trying to explain God. That's what I'm saying.
Most people that have a thought about God is in trying to explain what they believe God is considered theologian.
I'm gonna have to sit with that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'll give you the verbiage on it.
No, I don't want your verbiage. I don't want
It's not my verbiage.
Your swayed language. Also, you see how I let him finish his little thought, and then I can't even finish my thought without him having his 2 points. This is why I don't sit with Tim at church, for instance. One thing about Tim, we could be in a church service, and if he feels like God's speaking to him, that means that I got to stop paying attention to what the pastors are saying up front to hear what he's saying. That's why I don't sit with him in church, because he talks too much. Anyway, for those of you who be like, Tim don't say he's so quiet, he's not. Mm-hmm. I don't even remember what I was going to say, but I guess we're going to remain learned, studied, or try to remain open to knowledge, or, whatever, I guess. I don't know. I don't have a pretty bow to wrap this up, man. What you got to say? You got something else on your tip of your tongue?
I was going to say, man, I think you are pretty dope. And I also want to give a shout out to you before we close out that Yami stepped into something at school that she didn't want to do, and then she did it with the guidance of the Holy Spirit. And it turned out to be well, man. So I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for taking on that task. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What was that, Yami? I mean, yeah.
I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to accept compliments. So there's that. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you guys for watching another episode of the Love and Theology podcast. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and tell the whole wide world where you can find us. You know what I'm saying? And if you have topic suggestions, we'd love to hear it. Otherwise, we're going to be talking straight from life again.
We love y'all.
God bless you. God keep you.
Peace.
I know I've questioned many things in this world, but I never had to question your love. So I know one thing's for sure. I can put trust in a real love, your love. Yeah.
For every mom who ever missed a meal so they would have enough to let their babies eat. Fathers who grind every day to provide more than good advice. Charlie Sheen.